that? You hear that? You hear that? The show is getting going now. She's getting started up. She's cooking. I'm feeling it. You hear that? It's the rhythm. It's the rhythm. It's the beat. I got it. Oh, man, there it is. My name's Mishki. Who? I just said Mishki. You listening? Welcome to the show, everybody. Glad to have you on board. Don't know what we're going to do with this one. Well, we'll get you from point A to point B. We're at point A right now. We're just getting rolling. Well, Rhode Island just celebrated their 77th annual Victory Day, making the state once again the only place in America that honors the end of World War II with a legal holiday. The actual event that Victory Day commemorates was August 14th. That's when the Japanese surrendered, and that ended the war, of course. But in Rhode Island, the holiday is observed on the second Monday in August every year. No other state in America bothers to have Victory Day as a legal holiday. But in Rhode Island, it's a big deal. About 1 in 10 of their citizens fought overseas in World War II, and they lost a lot of them. A lot of Navy activity happened in Rhode Island. They were engaged in the war, that whole state. So when the Allies won the war, well, it was a no-brainer. They were going to make an official state legal holiday, call it Victory Day. Both Japan and Germany have a corresponding holiday that's formally called What the Hell Were We Thinking Day. It's a day for people in those countries to just take time off work and ask the question, what the hell were we thinking? Now, a lot of people think this question refers to the decision on the part of both countries to go to war against the Allies. And yeah, that's the basis for the original question when the holiday was created in Germany and Japan. And for several years, that's what people were encouraged to do, is just look around and say, what the hell were we thinking? But that question was asked plenty in the first few years following the war. And What the Hell Were We Thinking Day soon came to be a day for asking oneself, what the hell was the thinking behind all sorts of ridiculous ideas and notions and dumb decisions that have been made in life? In both Germany and Japan now, people gather on What the Hell Were We Thinking Day in town squares and ask one another what possibly they could have been thinking when doing things like getting married, or taking that job in Antarctica, or whatever. All sorts of directions they chose in life are questioned as people gather and commiserate with one another for hours, well into the evening, wondering, if the human brain was really built to create an enjoyable, productive, and interesting life, or if it is in fact there to just sabotage us and make us look ridiculous so much of the time. Because so much of the time as humans, we're often stuck there going, what the hell were we thinking? Of course, they beg to differ with all this in the country of San Marino. I don't know if you people know about the country of San Marino. I don't know how many of you even know there is a country called San Marino. It is, in fact, a country. It's a sovereign nation. And it would like to remind the world that it never has gone to war. It never has gone to war, and the people there have indeed enjoyed a lovely existence, free from conflict, the only nation on earth never to have gone to war. And they are quite proud of that. They're not even into punching people in San Marino. Folks are rarely, if ever, punched there. One guy was slapped by his wife back in 1927, and that was a pretty big deal. It happened in public, and the woman was asked to apologize. San Marino is a country completely surrounded by the nation of Italy, in case you're looking for it. It's small, but it's hardly the smallest nation. Bigger than the Vatican, bigger than Gibraltar, bigger than Bermuda. San Marino never has gone to war. Now, I would have thought Iceland had never gone to war. I can't imagine Iceland going to war. I was sure that I'd find they hadn't, but I looked it up, and they were apparently involved in something called the Cod Wars. Cod, C-O-D, the Cod Wars with Great Britain. Notice it's wars plural. The idea that there would be more than one cod war, that there could be multiple wars over cod. Cod are fish. Apparently, Iceland at one point had like 4 miles that they considered their waters, 4 miles off their shore that they considered their waters for fishing, and they increased it to 25 one time, and the British got kind of upset, said, you can't do that. Our citizens are in trawlers in that area fishing. They're getting their own cod. And Iceland said, get them out of there. They got to move back. There was a war over that. They say it mostly was a war of nerves, which I don't know if that qualifies as a war, but that's what they're saying. It was mostly a war of nerves. Anyway, Great Britain backed off eventually, and then, as is going to happen, Iceland went out 50 miles. Had a nice chunk of real estate there for their cod fishermen. Great Britain said, no way, not 50 miles. There was another cod war. There ended up being 3 cod wars. Iceland eventually, after winning the second cod war, went to 200 miles. Now, come on. Great Britain came along and said, no way, not 200 miles. There was a third cod war. Now, most of this stuff was some boats ramming each other a little bit and some fishing nets being cut. No shots fired, no one killed. Again, it was more a war of nerves, but Iceland beat Great Britain in all 3 of the cod wars. 3 wars. Wars of nerves, but wars nonetheless. We have 7 trillion nerves in our bodies, you know, and they all went to war. The nerves of the Icelanders and the nerves of the Brits, they went to war. All 7 trillion nerves in the nervous system of these people. I guess we had a war then, if you're just going with war of nerves. We had a war in the Cuban Missile Crisis. That was a war of nerves. Khrushchev versus Kennedy. A war of nerves. And what did we end up there for casualties? I think Khrushchev had a little pinched nerve afterward. I know JFK said it was nerve-wracking. Is nerve-wracking kind of like a little battlefield with nerves? He said he may have had some frayed nerves in that war, but no pinched or peripheral nerve damage. No, that was Khrushchev. Now, the Cod War was not the most ridiculous war ever. There were stranger wars. The Pig War of 1859, U.S. and Great Britain, was over who would own the San Juan Islands off Puget Sound. It started when an American on one of the San Juan Islands shot the pig of a Brit. The Pastry War, that was 1838, that was France and Mexico. That was triggered by a French pastry chef's claim that his shop had been looted during a Mexican civil conflict. There was the War of the Stray Dog, 1925, border dispute between Greece and Bulgaria. A Greek soldier shot a stray dog that had wandered into Bulgarian territory. This is why you know humans love going to war, because we look for a reason anywhere we can find it. Personally, I have my favorite war when it comes to history's most ridiculous wars, and that would be one started by Caligula. Caligula, that insane Roman emperor. He took on, I'm not joking, the sea. The entire sea. Caligula returned from an expedition in Gaul, and his sailing fleet got roughed up by the roiling sea, a turbulent storm, and he saw this as a personal attack on him from Neptune, the god of the sea. He thought Neptune was trying to kill him, and so Caligula said, well, this is war. And he attacked the sea itself. He had his soldiers attack the sea with their weapons, shot arrows into the sea. The Roman Empire, run by a madman, was waging war against the ocean. Now, I'm going to tell you something. I've shaken my fist at the sky, okay? But that's me and God having a little conversation over the rain that's ruining some picnic with my wife. It's really actually more a war of nerves, I would say. This war with Caligula, this was different. And it did not work out that well for Caligula because, well, Neptune never really showed up for the war. Partially because I think he realized Caligula was nuts, and partially because Neptune didn't really exist. To make the war satisfying, though, and you can look this up as well, to make it seem like he actually won and Caligula did claim victory, he sent out an entire legion of 5,000 soldiers to steal all the seashells from the seashores, his war bounty, his treasures taken from the enemy. I'm not joking. Caligula returned to Rome with loads and loads and loads of shells as he claimed victory and demanded a parade. Was it about then that they realized this guy was absolutely bananas? Or when did they learn that? How did I get on this subject? Oh, Rhode Island and Victory Day, only state in America with an official holiday, state holiday, celebrating the end of World War II. Think how different it would be today had we lost that war. I shudder. I shudder to think about it. And I'll be back. Stick around. I want to talk to you about a new sponsor, MSP, Minneapolis-St. Paul Plumbing, Heating, and Air. My oldest pal has been working over there for many years. We'd get together and have beers, and I'd talk about my job, and he'd talk about his job. And his job was always interesting to me. And I realized, as he told more and more stories, that these are the kinds of people I would want in my home. If I had some plumbing work, if I had a furnace issue, air conditioning issue, there's this fear factor when you're inviting workers into your home. It's very different than finding a service out there in the world. Bringing people into your house changes things. MSP has people you want in your house. Two things come together that are so critical. They're absolutely wonderful at what they do. They are so skilled, and they're so friendly, decent, kind, good-hearted souls who really just want you happy. That's what they want. They want you happy. Just remember the letters. M-S-P. It's the month of the Minnesota State Fair, and I want you to know it's time to change how you're seeing the world. Literally. It's that eyewear on your face. Time to upgrade. Time to go for a new look. Why is now the time? Because Spectacle Shop is having their mind-blowing $59 frame sale at the State Fair. Frames normally $250 to $800, just $59 if you buy prescription lenses. First floor of the grandstand, not the second floor. They moved. They're on the first floor now. The grandstand at the State Fair all 12 days. What's better than sharp vision and killer style at a price that makes your jaw drop faster than a deep-fried Twinkie? What? For 5 years running now, Spectacle Shop has been voted best eyewear shop in Minnesota by readers of the Star Tribune. And now with this $59 frame deal, here's your opportunity to ditch your old look and find a new one. Clearly, you should take advantage of it. I have some music news here. Taylor Swift let it be known that she's got a new album coming out. And oh boy, everybody went to her website and the website crashed. It just crashed. Broke into a bunch of pieces. They were sweeping it up late last night. Tried to put it back together again this morning. Got it up this afternoon. Taylor Swift has a new album coming out called The Life of a Showgirl. I went to her website this afternoon to check it out. Mostly because I just wanted to be able to say, as a male, and an older male at that, and one who has never really taken the time to sit down and listen to a Taylor Swift song, start to finish, with a real sympathetic and curious ear, I wanted to be able to say, to the barista at my local coffee shop, hey, I went to the Taylor Swift website today, as I will do from time to time. Could I get a dark roast there? Thank you. Yeah, I was at the Taylor Swift website today. Did I mention that? Yeah, she's got some cool graphics going on there. Have you checked it out at all? I don't know who designed her website, but it must have been really expensive. It's really cool. She must be doing all right for herself these days, huh? Taylor? I mean financially. She's making her music cover her bills, right? Yeah, clearly, huh? Yeah. Can you leave a little room for cream? Thank you. So, yeah, that's great. Taylor seems to be doing well. Yeah. You know, when you can do your art and have it make money, even if it's only enough, to keep food on the table and a roof over your head, hey, that's a win. And she's got to feel pretty good about that. I mean, she's obviously got something going on there. At least that's my take. People seem to really like her. She's way, way beyond the coffee house circuit, right? Right. No, I know. Way, way, way beyond that. Right. That's what I was going to say. Way beyond that. Anyway, I just wanted to let you know, in case you hadn't gone to her website, that she's killing it these days. That Taylor Swift. Wow. Just killing it. Man. Oh, and I just want to make sure I'm saying Taylor Swift, not James Taylor. Yeah, I just want to make sure. No, right. I'm so over James Taylor. No, I get it. He's totally yesterday. But Tay-Tay, my Gillicuddy, she's the cat's meow, huh? Yeah. Oh, I call her Tay-Tay. Do you call her Tay-Tay? Yeah. Anyway, I was looking at one of the tassels on her costume, one of the costumes she was wearing, at the concert. Totally different from the tassels she was wearing when she changed into a different outfit. I mean, she changed and the tassels were very interesting, unique in their own way with each outfit. And it really spoke to me about the way we all need to change in our own ways, each of us. Show off our own tassels, you know what I mean? Kind of let our freak flag fly, sort of. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry, how much do I owe you? Oh, yeah, I got it right here, yeah. I mean, I'm into making tassels too. I'm sure you are. I, of course, would make the tassels more for guys. They'd be totally different. They'd look more masculine. I'm using barge rope for mine, super masculine, because that's what I'd wear if I were singing one of her songs. Say, for instance, if I were singing, I don't know, what's that one tune? Our Song? Do you dig that one? Taylor Swift's Our Song? I know it's old, but my pals and I in the car club, we dig it. I think it's her most feminine and girly song from the real early country pop era. It's kind of sweet, upbeat. It's about young love and the special moments that can define it. I played it for the guys in the car club, and man, Gearhead Gary and his twin brother Wrench, they were shaking it. I mean, they were digging it. God, they love that song. Our Song. You know the one. They call Taylor Swift Hot Bod Rock God. That's what they call her. Isn't that cute? Hot Bod Rock God. They have posters above their Snap-on toolboxes. Gary said to me yesterday that Taylor Swift's lyrics really validate our emotional experiences. They seem to teach us a lot about labeling and expressing our own truth. Gary says he's learned emotional coping skills from her. Anyway, I just wanted to let you know that I went to Taylor's website today and checked it out, and her new album is there for pre-sales. It's called The Life of a Showgirl, and you could go there and order it. When I said earlier that Taylor Swift had moved beyond coffee houses, I knew that. I knew she was bigger than the coffee house circuit. I meant to say that girl is not going back. I mean, she is moving on. You're not going to see her back in the coffee houses. No. There's no giving up in that gal. That's something I think you would agree with me on, huh? You like Tay-Tay as well, don't you, right? Yeah, we both do. We're like in a club, like a coffee club, a Taylor Swift coffee club, you and I. Yeah. Oh, someone's behind me? I'm sorry. Let me get out of the way. By the way, I am here right now at Taylor Swift's website, where there are opportunities to get her new album. And by the way, this would be pre-sales. It's not in stores yet, so everyone here knows they're paying for something that's coming out later. And the headline here at Taylor Swift's website says, "Get this album while supplies last." Really? You're going to attempt that? You're going to try to pull that off? Get them while supplies last? You're going to try to pass that off on us? The notion that it's no different than 1957. There are kind of a limited number of 45s in the record bin. Best get them now. Tomorrow the bin could be empty. While supplies last. How dare you? What I do love is right there at the website, they offer Taylor Swift's new album in cassette. God, does that do my heart good. Cassette. No joke. That means I could buy it and play it in my truck and my car. What's even better is cassette and vinyl are promoted first at Taylor Swift's website. They're really pushing the cassette and the vinyl. They're the more expensive ones, $29 for the LP, $19 for the cassette. And only after that do they push the newer medium of the CD. And they drop the price dramatically for a CD, $12. $12 for the CD, hoping to get people to jump at that. And that isn't even enough to get people to jump. They throw in, you can go to Taylor Swift's website and take a look. I'm being straight with you. They throw in a free poster if you get the CD. They're really trying to get people to buy the CD. Oh, how the mighty CD has fallen. Dear Lord, cassette and LP coming back from the dead to put a fork in the CD. Who saw that coming? Please buy the CD. Come on, it's only $12. We'll give you a poster and some free steaks. That's going to intrigue Gearhead Gary. He loves posters of Taylor Swift. The Swift Machine, he calls her. He doesn't even have a CD player, and he'll get the CD. He's a gearhead, though. He'll figure out a way to play the CD on his 8-track somehow. He's super smart mechanically, Gary is. He took apart a computer one time, and he took a strobe light he had and some laser gizmo he got at Best Buy, and he made a Taylor Swift hologram that could sing and dance on his hydraulic car ramp in his garage. I have seen him just sitting with a Budweiser crying, staring at that hologram of Taylor Swift. Gary with those tassels on his shirt made out of wiper washer hose and spark plugs, just crying like a baby, singing along with Taylor, singing along with the super bod rock god, tassels, boom, 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 you know what I'm saying? I like music. You people like music? Well, we have to say goodbye to a brother in the human family. Max Fink has died. He's our Mishki obituary for today.
Goodbye.
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 See ya.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Max Fink, a psychiatrist who advanced the acceptance of electroshock therapy as an option for treating severely depressed patients who didn't respond well to drugs or to psychotherapy. He has died. He was 102 years old. Good run there, Max. Attaboy. His death at a senior living facility was confirmed by his son, John. You know, there's nothing wrong with dying at a senior living facility, but just once I'd like to read one of these obits where it says the fella died in a field by a stream at sunset, or in a lawn chair near some flowers with a cold drink in his hand. We come across a lot of died peacefully surrounded by family, and that's all well and fine, but wouldn't it be super to read, "She died while yelling at the neighbor dog to shut the hell up"? There's so much more life in a death like that. Died while watching disco lights move across the ceiling next to his lava lamp, listening to the Moody Blues, stoned out of his mind. Just for variety's sake, that would be kind of nice. Max Fink died in his senior living facility, probably in his bed, surrounded by family. Bye-bye. Bye-bye there, Max.
Goodbye.
So long. Enjoy your travels.
Max believed that electroconvulsive therapy was a fine treatment and should not be considered a last resort. He thought it was just ideal for people who are suicidal or people who are suffering from delusions. Just put the shock things on their head like that. He said it should be used routinely. He said many severely depressed patients are maintained for weeks and months, even years, on antidepressant drugs. But he said, are we not unfair when we do this to them, when electroconvulsive therapy remains an excellent treatment? Zap 'em! Zap 'em! He first witnessed the use of electroconvulsive therapy back in '52 on his first day as a neurology and psychiatry resident at Hillside Hospital in Queens. One by one, he watched as patient after patient, under restraints with rubber bite blocks in their mouths and electrodes applied to their temples, received enough electrical current to induce a grand mal seizure. He said, observing a full grand mal seizure in every patient jarred me a little bit, but I had heard that electroconvulsive therapy effectively reduced suicidal thoughts, relieved a lot of negativism, relieved a lot of aggression, reduced depression and manic moods. Of the hospital populations, the patients treated with electroshock improved the most, I found. And weirdly, you could also use their rectums for a socket if you needed to plug in a lamp. Although Max Fink was convinced of electroshock therapy's positive effects, others in the psychiatric profession were not. And he faced a lot of opposition from other doctors, and he even had protesters at talks he would give. He said, we had a problem getting this accepted by the public. I was protested at meetings across the U.S., when he received an award for lifetime achievement from the Institute of Living, a psychiatric center in Connecticut. There were protesters there. Those people had probably watched One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. That's not going to help you have a very pleasant take on electroshock therapy. A lot of opponents said it was not as effective as people made it sound. And it came with side effects, like memory loss and trauma. Some said it was a brutal practice. And again, the 1975 film One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest played a part in that. Jack Nicholson undergoes electroshock therapy without anesthesia as punishment for his rebelliousness. You gotta have the anesthesia. You gotta. Critics of Max Fink said he always downplayed the risks. He downplayed the memory loss. He downplayed the cognitive impairment after the shock therapy. Max wrote a book where he described getting shock therapy as no different than going to the dentist. I don't know what kind of creepy dentist Max had, but it apparently reminded him of biting on a chunk of rubber and having restraints hold him down and being electrocuted. I say get another dentist. Here's what's odd to me about electroshock therapy. How did anyone come up with that? I mean, how would you even come up with that idea? I'm okay with it occasionally working. I'm just struggling with the idea of someone even mentioning this as something to try. How it would come up in conversation. Hey, fellas, you know those pills you've been giving patients? They're okay and all, but I had an idea this morning. I was just lying in bed. I don't know, I should have gotten up, brushed my teeth, gotten out of the house, but I was staring at the ceiling. And all of a sudden I heard something out the window. I looked out the window. I saw a power line worker in my neighborhood and noticed that he was getting too close to the transformer box. All of a sudden, his whole body shuddered and spasmed and convulsed, and by golly, the whole neighborhood went dark, and he tumbled to the street below. And in the peacefulness that followed, in that quiet, that wonderful quiet, I realized that power line worker, if he was depressed, he certainly couldn't be anymore. Wouldn't it be cool if we could try something like that with some of our patients? What do you think? It's more fun than giving them pills, I'll tell you that. There's nothing cool to look at when you give someone pills. It's kind of boring. I mean, if you don't want to do the electric shock thing, let's make pills that are too big to swallow. That way we can watch something entertaining. No, hang on, I'm serious. When we watch them take a pill that's too big, they're going to choke, right? They'll start to violently thrash about as they're choking. Terror is going to fill their eyes. And at the last minute, we can give them the Heimlich maneuver and save them in that moment of relief, escaping the grip of the Grim Reaper. In that moment of utter joy, when they're breathing again, I think they could possibly ditch that despondent disposition and suddenly be happy, enjoy the fact that they're actually alive. Worst case scenario, they're still depressed, but we had a hell of a show, as good or better than watching them bounce up and down on the table from the electricity. Remember, fellas, we have to find joy in our work as well. We need to think about our own well-being. I'm tired of handing out pills. It doesn't get us as involved as if we were, pursuing something like carpentry. Carpenters are very involved in their work. We hand out a pill, we walk away. Let's shock these mothers. Let's electrocute them. Let's hold them down, put something in their mouth they can bite on and shock the hell out of their brains. Get them bouncing on the table. Let's live a little bit and in the process maybe get them living too. Anyway, Max Fink is dead at 102 years of age. Hey, you, stop. Don't touch that 401k just yet. Are you sure your retirement savings are going to take you to that cabin in the woods? Are they going to take you to that golf course? Or are you just crossing your fingers and hoping your money's doing something for you out there? Lucky for you, Josh Arnold is available. He'll help you understand IRAs, 401ks, and all that confusing retirement mumbo-jumbo, and he'll do it with a smile and 40 years of experience. Josh is offering you a 48-minute consultation free of charge. That's right, no cost, no gimmicks, no strings. You get the answers that'll have you saying, well, that was a lot smoother than I thought. 48 minutes free of charge? Thank you, Josh. 952-925-5608.
Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant, LLC, a security and investment advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments involve risk. Tommy Mischke is a paid endorser.
At the Wellshire Memory Care Centers in Medina and Bloomington, they understand that your loved ones may be losing their memory, but you are going to remember all the time you spent with them there, and you want to remember enjoyable times, happy people, pleasant surroundings. Tour the Wellshire. Is this where you'd want to be placed? People with Alzheimer's and dementia go through stages as they lose their memory. The Wellshire is broken up into 4 quadrants for each stage of memory loss. Courtyards, gardens, a salon, a cinema, an ice cream parlor, music therapy. They have a full-time licensed music therapist, on-staff musicians who conduct individual and group sessions. Ultimately, the Wellshire of Bloomington and Medina needs to be toured to be appreciated. Don't take my word for it. Just take the tour. Let them show you this place, a warm, loving home. I want to go to the phones now. There's a listener named Jason who contacted me recently saying that he recently got off the road after 5 years. He had been taking his trike, that's right, taking his trike around America with some beer and visiting different state capitals, as you'll do. On a Saturday afternoon, maybe you get out, you get out your trike and you throw some beer in the basket and you head out, go see some state capitals around America. Spend a few years doing that, drinking beer and riding your trike. Anyway, I got to give him a call right now because when he told me that, I said, well, here's a listener I got to contact. So I'm going to give him a ring right now, see what the heck this guy's all about.
Hello?
Jason,
Mischke!
you decided 5 years ago to get on a trike and go visiting other states, visiting other capitals, and having a lot of beer.
Yes.
Now, when you first headed out and you said to your friends or family members, I'm getting a trike and I'm heading out, gonna see some other state capitals, take a break every now and then and drink some beer. What was the reaction?
Most everybody said I was nuts. I was crazy. What are you actually doing?
So you pulled out of Chaska, Minnesota.
Yep.
And how old were you when you hit the trail?
Well, I'm 48 now, so I would have been turning 43.
And you were looking on the map and you were targeting what as your first stop? What city?
My first stop was the state capital in St. Paul, and that was that night, from Chaska to St. Paul that night. And I visited some friends in Minneapolis, went to a couple bars, and got a little buzz on.
So right away you realize this riding my trike and drinking beer thing is already working out. I've seen a state capital. I've ridden my trike. I've gotten a buzz on. Let's keep doing this. What other state capitals are around here? I'm on a roll. Then you looked at Madison and you said, well, that's a little farther than going from Chaska to St. Paul, but what the heck? I got air in my trike tires. Let's go.
Yep. And that's what I did. I said, let's go.
After you saw Madison, what was the next capital you saw?
Lansing, Michigan. And I had the sign on the back of my bike the whole time saying, okay, St. Paul crossed off, Madison's crossed off, Lansing's crossed off. Here we come, Columbus. Are you going to ride your bike all the way to Columbus from here? And I said, yes, I am.
Didn't you correct him and say it's a trike?
Yep, all the time.
I'll tell you, when you first contacted me mentioning that you had taken your trike out one day in Chaska and went riding to various state capitals around the country, the first image in my head was some of the children I remember from my childhood that I would see coming down the sidewalk. Then I also remembered that there were these adult trikes. I remember some mentally challenged people in my neighborhood coming by on adult trikes. Lovely people. We'd visit with them. They were very friendly. It was very enjoyable. And you could see them on different days in the summer riding their trike. In your particular case, I just assume you're a guy who could have just taken a bicycle.
I lived in New Orleans for 20 years. And they have the adult trikes out in the parades, and they're all decorated and decked out and all sorts of lights all over them. I said, that's what I want to do. If I'm going to travel the country, I want to do it in style. Sometimes I would go 15 miles. Sometimes I would go 92.
There was a day where you went 92 miles. You must have hit a hill.
Orange, Connecticut. I left Orange, Connecticut at 5:30 in the morning, and I got to the Bronx, New York, 92 miles away. 11:30 p.m. I was just cruising that day because I had a friend in the Bronx who only had one day that she could hang with me. So I wanted to make it there, and I made it there. And we had a wonderful picnic in the park.
When you arrived after those 92 miles, the beer must have gone down pretty well.
Woo!
Sometimes were you just pedaling down the road, just sort of sipping on a beer, staring up at the blue sky?
At first, especially, I did this stupid thing, and I was drinking whatever I had and riding one-handed. But I learned not to do that anymore. I learned to stop, have a beer, then go a couple more miles, then stop, have a beer. I learned that you want both hands on those handlebars.
And when you think back on the years, and how many capitals did you see, by the way?
34.
34 state capitals on your trike and with your beer. When you think back on it, what images move to the forefront? Is it the beer, or is it, my God, I'm on a trike? Or is it, wow, this state capital looks similar to the last two?
Every building, and I've got a picture of all of them that I've visited, every state capitol building has its own persona. It has its unique thing. You know, they all have their own personality, and every state has their own personality.
During those years when you were on the trike, just cruising around the United States, drinking beer, did you ever say to yourself, wait a minute here, I got to get a job?
Well, I had a job in New Orleans. I usually got to New Orleans right around Christmas time, and jumped back behind the bar and started hauling ice and cups and straws and beer and stocking and making the bartenders happy. Because you know what? If you make the bartenders happy in New Orleans, you are a rock star. You don't pay for a lot of your drinks there. I kept my old job, 24-hour bar on Napoleon the magazine there. I had a good job. It just wasn't full-time.
When you say it wasn't full-time, you mean you'd work a few months and then you wouldn't work a few months?
I'd work between New Year's Eve and Easter, pretty much.
So you say it was on the corner of Napoleon and Magazine. What is the name of the bar?
The Club Ms. Mays, MS, period, M-A-E. Ms. May ruled it with an iron fist, and then she retired and passed away soon after that. It was a 24-hour bar, and here's what I always said about it. You can be at Ms. May's for 24 hours and not see nothing. But if you're gone, you're going to miss something.
Ah, it's very strange. You're there for 24 hours, so you're there all day and night, and you don't see a thing. You don't see anything, and then you leave, stop by the post office briefly, and you miss something.
Yeah, exactly. This old timer that used to come in, his name was Jimbo, and he was a regular. Didn't even bother ringing him up for his Coors Lights no more. He gave Ms. May a couple of bucks at the end of every month, and he had just left. He's like, well, I'm going to go this away. I'm going to go that away. I said, okay, Jimbo, take it easy. And the bar was absolutely empty. And I'm sitting there, and this little petite blonde lady came in with a couple large men, and she came up to me and said, hey, Shug, is Miss May around? I'm looking at Dolly Parton. Dolly Parton came in and had a Diet Coke and waited for Miss May to come in because they were friends because she goes to Dollywood and buys a new wig every year. It was wonderful. Jimbo missed it because he left.
What was your general sense of Dolly after only seeing her on television?
She was porcelain. She looked like a doll. I said, my God, how can somebody have that perfect skin at that age? Because, you know, I remember 9 to 5 when I was a kid, when I was a little kid. I'm only 48. I remember Dolly Parton being, you know, oh, she's the one with the big boobs. And she was just a nice little petite girl. She was so nice. She said, hey, Shug, can I have a Diet Coke? Yes, you may. Oh, my goodness.
I know for many, many years Dolly was known as the woman with the big boobs, but I think in later years now she's finally graduated to a level where people really, when they think about her, say, my God, there's a hell of a songwriter.
When I was going through Tennessee, I was going through the Old Smokies. It was challenging and breathtaking, and I had Dolly Parton singing Good Old Rocky Top, Tennessee.
Try and imagine any other great songwriter, Bob Dylan, Leonard Cohen, Joni Mitchell, hell, Taylor Swift. Just grab any songwriter out there and imagine them writing in one day, Jolene and I Will Always Love You. Jolene and I Will Always Love You were written on the same day.
Wow, I did not know that. That's an accomplishment. Those are two wonderful songs, timeless.
And you know what I was thinking about the other day? I was getting myself a cup of coffee in the morning, and I thought, just calling this a cup of ambition, that's a lovely thing right there. Pouring myself a cup of ambition. She rhymed that with kitchen. She stumbled to the kitchen to pour herself a cup of ambition. You know what Dolly has said often when people make a big deal about her boobs? She says, you know, I got a nice ass, too. You're not going to come up with a better line than that. Although an option would be to say, hey, perv, move along.
Yep. Well, and of course, if I would have said something, sideways to Dolly, Miss May would have had my ass.
So what are your plans for your future? Going back to school?
I think I'm going to go down to New Orleans this winter and work in the acid mines.
So long after the death of Timothy Leary, they're still putting the acid out, huh?
Not that kind of acid.
What's your living situation now?
I'm currently urban camping in the St. Paul, Inver Grove Heights area. I do drop in on my sister every once in a while for a shower and a box of macaroni and cheese, but I'm urban camping. I find myself a nice little place under the stars and have a day. I'll get back to work this winter.
You're living an interesting life. You're not looking to do any more than you have to do. You're trying to provide yourself as much free time as you possibly can, work as little as possible. Your general philosophy is, I have a life I'd like to enjoy, and work gets in the way of that a lot of the time.
I have worked at the local grocery store up here, overnight stock, no pressure, just stock that juice, stock that laundry detergent, do a good 8 hours. But I did have some medical stuff come up this spring. I'm unable to work at the moment. I'm about to get the green light from my neurologist. See, I had me one of them strokes in New Orleans.
You had yourself one of those strokes. That isn't a drink in New Orleans. That's an actual physical affliction.
Yeah. I was in the hospital for 3 weeks, yeah.
How much damage was done by that stroke?
My legs don't work the way they used to. It takes me a bit longer to get off the bus or to cross the street, so I got to keep that in mind. I don't have as much longevity. I can't walk as far as I used to.
Now, you're a young man. What do they say caused that stroke at such a young age?
I got hit with everything but the kitchen sink by a guy who decided to attack me for peeing on a fence. He hit me with brooms and mop handles and dustpans and beat me up really good. And one of those blows blocked off a blood vessel to the brain and made me go into a stroke.
When you were relieving yourself on the fence, did you look to see if you were alone?
Not really, because he refused me the use of the bathroom, even though I was a customer. I bought something and everything. I said, why can't I use the bathroom? Oh, it's closed. It's closed. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm going to go pee on your fence then. And then he came out raging and attacked me.
He apparently had quite a few cleaning items with him when he attacked you.
Yeah, I guess he was closing up shop for the night and he was sweeping and mopping because that's what he used.
I don't imagine you were able to defend yourself.
Mishki, I'm a very nonviolent person. I'm 6'3", 250 pounds. And I realized at a young age that if I were to be violent towards somebody, I could very well end up in jail for murder. So I generally don't fight.
Did he get into some trouble for this?
We're working on it. I can't say much more.
When did this happen?
Late April.
Just happened this spring.
Besides not being able to work. I love to work. Don't you? You would think somebody like me hates work. No, I love working, but I'm very simple. It doesn't take much to blow my skirt up. It doesn't take much to make me happy.
Do you have everything you need in life right now? Are you short anything? Any items you're in need of at all?
The thing is that I got my backpack, I got my pack, and I've got me. I've got my 2 legs and my 2 arms and my brain. Sometimes it'd be nice if I had a pillow. Sometimes it'd be nice if I had a sleeping bag, but I don't want to haul that around with me.
What are you using when you go to sleep at night?
My backpack and a sweatshirt.
Your backpack is your pillow?
Yeah.
And then a sweatshirt to stay warm?
Yeah.
So you're not even sleeping with a blanket or a pillow every night. You're just parking yourself somewhere, and you're able to sleep that way?
Yeah, absolutely. Believe it or not, Mishki, it's freeing. It's a nice feeling.
Last question. Out of all the places you went in those 5 years, all that riding of your trike, drinking that beer, what'll stick out as the greatest memory from that entire stretch?
I was riding on this road that didn't have much of a shoulder, and this big rig, you could hear him behind me, and I could feel him behind me, and I'm like, why won't he pass me up? And I looked back, and I saw a line of about 34 cars behind this big rig going about 25 miles per hour tops because this guy would not pass me. So I said, well, I got to get off the road. So as soon as I came up to a driveway, I pulled off into the driveway and let the big rig and all the cars go past me. And as the line of cars went past me, I was waving and saying, yeah, sorry about that. I'm just trying to make it down the road. The second to last car pulls up to the driveway and stops. And the guy's looking at me. And I said, what the hell is the problem now? And he leans out his window and says, that's my driveway.
I would expect the story you would tell me is of meeting someone, some extraordinary human being, some incredible conversation, some moment with another person, some wondrous, marvelous experience with one other person somewhere in America. You don't have a story like that?
It might have been the guy that decided he was going to ride with me. He decided he was going to ride with me. He went and got his bike and went and got a backpack and said, I'm going to ride with you to... I was in New England, so I was either between New Hampshire and Rhode Island or New Hampshire and Massachusetts or something like that. And he did not last 20 miles. So, I think I'm going to go home. I'm like, see ya. I inspired him for a moment, at least, to follow me. We're going to go. He was in it to win it for about an hour and a half.
Kind of reminds me of Easy Rider when Dennis Hopper and Peter Fonda run into Jack Nicholson and he wants to join them. And they ask him if he has a helmet. And, oh, yeah, he has a helmet, all right. I think it makes a lot of sense, though, to people that after 20 miles, that guy hung it up. I think it's harder for people to understand how you could keep year in and year out riding a tricycle around America. It's just hard to fathom how you would avoid abject boredom.
I had a lot of mind games, and I would keep my brain moving. I was like reading billboards out loud or reading billboards backwards or counting down the miles by stopping and having a break. Okay, 3 miles, we'll take a break, we'll have a beer, and then 3 more miles, here we go. All right. Now, as the cooler is emptying, we're getting closer and closer to being done for the day.
In more ways than one.
Yep.
Well, I tell you, Jason, I've sure enjoyed speaking with you. One of the things I've learned over my many years is there are all sorts of wild and wondrous ways to live a human life. More sometimes than I could ever count.
There you go. Well, I appreciate it, Michigan. I'll tell you what, I love the box of chocolates that your podcast is. You never know what you're going to get, but it's going to be tasty.
You be well, Jason. Wonderful visiting with you.
All right. Thank you, sir.
So long. Fury Motors is not just a car dealership. Not in this part of the country. Fury Motors is a legacy built by a family that wasn't just selling cars. They were showing people a way to live and do business and be engaged in a community. That's what I found in my years with the Leonards at Fury Motors. You don't so much walk into a showroom, you walk into Fury World. Gone are the cookie-cutter experiences. They're not trying to fit you into a car. They're trying to find a car that fits you. You won't find gimmicks at Fury Motors. So many car dealerships offer gimmicks. I run into them so often. No empty promises at Fury. Just a family approach, the Leonard family approach, which has such passion behind it. Feel good about where you buy your next automobile. Go with Fury Motors. Experience the Fury way. Think about the last time you called your bank. Was it easy? Or did you get stuck in the press 1 for this, press 2 for that, press 3 for shove it up? You know what I'm saying? We've all been there. But what if your bank didn't make you jump through a bunch of hoops just to talk to a person? What if the folks on the other end of the line knew you? Wouldn't that be odd? And they didn't just know you, they cared about you. At North American Banking Company, Mike Bilski's dad ran banks that way, his grandpa ran banks that way, his great-grandpa ran banks that way, so Mike runs his banks that way. At North American Banking Company, they're different. You won't encounter a robot. You'll encounter real people. someone who sees you as more than a number. And it's not because that's just a nice idea. It's because that's how they believe business should be done all over the place. North American Banking Company is a bank that takes the time to treat you like a human. And I like that. North American Banking Company.
North American Banking Company. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
I want to mention that in my next show, I'll be talking to Joe Boyd. He is the author of a gigantic book on music called And the Roots of Rhythm Remain, A Journey Through Global Music. I'll be talking to him on the next program. He wrote a book that's just under 1,000 pages. Pretty interesting fella. Joe Boyd is a record producer and writer. He produced Nick Drake. He produced Pink Floyd, R.E.M., 10,000 Maniacs, many, many others. He was a film producer. He produced the film Jimi Hendrix, the documentary, and Amazing Grace. Graduated from Harvard back in '64 and tour managed Muddy Waters. And he was at the Newport Folk Festival when Dylan went electric. He was handling the sound on stage. I guess we can blame him. That sound wasn't appreciated by everyone in the audience. Anyway, I'm going to be talking to Joe on the next program. He's got a popular podcast called Joe Boyd's A to Z. It takes listeners on musical adventures from around the world. And his book, And the Roots of Rhythm Remain, is a journey through global music and how the music of the world has influenced the music we all listen to and have over the decades. So I'm excited to have Joe on the next program. Jason, who I talked to earlier, was just a guy who texted me, just a listener who texted me, and I ended up having a lovely conversation with him because of it. I encourage you people to text me when the spirit moves you, 651-321-8949, 651-321-8949, or email me, mishke@hubbardradio.com. Anyway, thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you again next time.